Hey, welcome to How to Handyma'am, the podcast where we enthusiastically mispronunciation our words.
We mention some red flags, green flags, and yellow flags that your contractor might have, so you can know what to expect when you are expecting a project.
That's right. I'm Samantha.
I'm Emily.
And I'm Arly. And this is How to Handyma'am.
What have we decided upon?
We had decided upon red flag, green flag, blue flag, yellow flag.
Blue?
Minus the blue. You know how it's like
And the yellow?
Red fish. Okay.
green fish, orange fish, blue fish, except it's...
One fish, two fish.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh.
Red fish, blue fish, one fish, two fish.
Oh, well, whatever it is.
So the answers are red, green, one, or two.
Red, green,
Which
yellow.
is, sideways thumb. Or three. No, okay, it's red, yellow, or green flags for contractors.
Oh, that's a
Yay!
good
Are we
one.
about to call ourselves out?
Well, some of these are very, they seem kind of obvious, but that's coming from like people who've
because
been
we
working
are
with
contractors,
contractors.
right?
Yeah. And then some of them are like maybe some things I haven't even really heard of before. I just kind of looked up lists and stuff like that. So we'll see what you guys
our job
have
is
come
to
up
say
with.
red flag. You're going to tell us a story, and then we're going to say red flag.
I'm going to
flag.
give you like a phrase or a scenario.
Okay.
It'll be quick.
We're
and then
ready.
you guys can say that you think it's a green flag because, red flag because, or yellow flag because. And
How about we do a 3, 2, 1, and we answer at the same time?
Okay, I like
that's
that.
good. Okay. We give a discount for cash payment. 3, 2, 1.
Red flag.
Red flag.
I agree.
Red flag because that usually means they're not claiming it on their taxes.
Although I will say that there's an increasing move to go to cash instead of credit card so that the vendor doesn't have to pay the fee. But if checks aren't okay, that's the red flag. Like if it's cash specifically, usually means they're not claiming it.
Yeah. A lot of people on like forums and stuff said that it often is accompanied without a contract or a paper trail. So if you can't prove that you have paid or you don't have any paper trail that they are committing to working for you, especially with like a down payment or something like that, that's definitely a red flag, I think. Sometimes maybe it's due to like lack of experience. Maybe it's just a handyman or a handy woman working in your area and they're new to the business. And it's not always 100% that they're like, mischievous or anything.
A contractor, especially some of the old school contractors, they may still handwrite your estimate, and that's okay. Or handwrite you a receipt. That's also okay. It's just the no documentation at all.
Yeah.
It also means you don't have any legal recourse. Like if you can't prove.
Yeah, you can't prove you paid or what you even agreed to pay for.
Because hopefully you don't need legal recourse with a contractor, but it's important for both sides to be protected in an arrangement.
I think the overall point is if you have a contractor who continues to insist on something that makes you uncomfortable, that is not the contractor for you.
Yeah.
No matter how cheap and quick they're promising, normally the sales tactics that are usually sketchy are the ones where they want you to hurry up and make a decision. Or you'll lose out on this, or they won't be able to do your job, or whatever the case is. So anytime you're feeling rushed to make a decision, that's 100% of the time, do not make a decision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a contractor gives you a short estimate with one price.
3, 2, 1.
Yellow.
I'd say no flag at all. Sometimes that's the case.
Yellow's neutral.
Yeah, neutral.
Okay, explain.
I'd say it's kind of just neutral because I wouldn't say it's like a red flag, but like a green flag would be like you get itemized and you know what's happening. And so sometimes I'm our estimator, so I'm particular about this, but I want our client, if they decide to remove a piece of the estimate, I want them to know fully the price line item. Because if you say you're doing a laundry room remodel and they're like, well, I don't want to do the tile floor anymore, and in their head they're thinking, oh, I was going to charge $3,000 for the tile floor, but I'm going to tell them I was going to charge $1,000. So it makes it easier for you to, in these situations I like people to have the full breadth of knowledge about what they're paying for and what they're getting into. So
Yeah.
I would say yellow, because it doesn't necessarily mean they're a bad contractor.
No.
Like, it just...
Well, and sometimes it's the price is this to do it and the price to not do it.
Yeah, sometimes
there are just two prices.
It is one thing that they're doing, and they're just fixing one thing for you, and that's just one short, simple thing. But if you are having, like, you know, a whole room redone or, like, a lot of things, especially if you expect that, like, all of the trim that they're installing is also going to be caulked and wood-filled and painted. Like, those are things that you
want
probably want on your estimate, because even if you say during your estimate, I want this stuff done, it's not on your estimate and it doesn't get done, they could be like, well, you're not paying for that. This is what you're paying for.
Yeah.
And it's very good, you know, if you're spending your money for somebody else to do it, to have a very clear picture of what you're accepting and what the contractor expects to do and what you expect them to do.
And I will say a good contractor will want their customer to be comfortable. So, like, yes, we've had some customers where, like, the excruciating amount of detail they want is way beyond what even the normal healthy amount of information we give. But in the end, it's like it's their money and we're performing a service for them. So even if it's like a lot of work, they're inviting us into their home to do the work. So if your contractor doesn't give you the information in the first place, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a red flag. If they will not give it to you, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, a contractor asks about project, goal, budget, and solutions. 3, 2, 1.
Green flag.
Green flag.
I thought so too. So they should want to know what you want and what the overall goal is.
Yeah. And sometimes it can feel slimy asking for a budget. Like, I don't always ask for a budget and estimates, purely because I don't want people thinking that I'm going to go to the max of their budget.
Yeah.
So if you're not comfortable with that, like you're worried a contractor is going to do that, you don't have to share the budget with them. I have plenty of people, and then after I submit the estimate a few times, they have been like, okay, well, here's where I was kind of thinking. And I understand it's from bad experiences in the past, as much as I wish they could be like, my budget for this bathroom is $30K, and so then I could perfectly tailor a plan that is $30K, but that's fine.
And I think there are some industries where, like, one example would be fireplace inserts. They cost a lot of money. And I wouldn't be surprised if the person at a fireplace, you know, like a chimney or fireplace company, someone calls in and they're like, well, what's your budget? And they say $400. It makes sense for them to screen those calls, because a lot of people wouldn't know. Like, when we priced our fireplace insert, it was $6,000.
Yeah, and yours is like a smaller one.
Yeah, so it's just helpful sometimes to know. So it can make you feel a little slimy, and if you're not comfortable with that, then that just might not be the contractor for you.
Yeah. I mean, there's also the difference between what kind of work you're looking to get done. If you're looking for a functional fix, that can be a much different price than a facelift
For sure.
thing.
Yeah.
You know, I know that when Emily goes to estimates, she will kind of suss out whether somebody wants just the bare minimum done, you know, cheaper materials and, you know, more like as cost effective as we can get by solving this problem, and other people who are like, this is kind of an aesthetic remodel or situation here. And that you know,
it greatly
that
changes. I mean, like, Kohler makes beautiful toilets that cost up to like thousands of dollars. Some of them have like fancy designs carved into the side and stuff. Some people just want the $199 toilet from Lowe's.
Yeah.
So and all of them will flush your poop.
Yes, they will.
Hopefully, unless you need a macerating one and you put a normal one in the basement, then
that's a problematic. Okay. I just read that one. So they have a strict change order policy. 3, 2, 1.
I think it's a green flag.
Yellow or green. Definitely not a red flag.
It's not a red flag. And here's why I think so. Having been on some long projects ourselves, like if you're getting into a project that's like $20,000 and up, you're going to change your mind about something in the middle of the project. And here's a great example. We put a roof on our rental house, and they gave us a price. That was the price we could afford. They asked us about a couple of things. like adjusting like how the drip edge is done. And I'm like, but I don't care how the drip edge is done. They never mentioned it would cost more to have it done the other way. And then afterward, they're like, that will be $8,000 more.
Yeah.
So I think change orders protect both the contractor and the customer. Anytime you make a change, you need to clarify, is there a cost associated with this? And if there is, you need to document it so the cost is the cost.
Yeah.
The contractor knows what the cost is, and you've agreed to pay it, and you know what the cost is, and they've agreed not to charge you any more than that.
Yeah.
So for me, I think change orders are important. I mean, if someone says, like, can you hang that an inch higher? No, you don't need a change order.
Yeah,
But yeah, for things that are I think anytime a price is going to change, you need a change order.
I agree. I think the only time it would be a red flag is if you want to change your mind and they're not able to. I mean, maybe sometimes that's the way it has to be with maybe some bigger companies, but if we talk to a customer and they're like, I really don't like this product anymore, or I don't like this design, or now that this wall's taken out, I really want to change my mind, I don't think that any of us would really be like, well, you agreed that we were going to redo it this way, and we have to redo it that way.
I think it depends on the size of the project, too, because if your builder has already ordered $50,000 worth of windows for your new build house, like, those are the windows you're going to get.
Yeah, unless you want to pay for
another,
that and then pay again.
And the time that it will delay your project. Yeah, so there are definitely some situations where the answer is like, I guess it should never be no if you're willing to pay.
Yeah.
But there might be times when it's like your builder says, this is the budget you've
There's
given
another
us.
$70K you're
Yeah,
gonna spend.
exactly. Like, yeah, we can do this for you, but here's how it impacts the schedule and here's how it impacts the budget.
Yeah. Again, another point of you should feel comfortable at all points.
You shouldn't
be
always
unsure.
know what's going on.
Yeah, you
might not
be
like
unsure,
it,
like, oh,
but
they're
you
doing
should know.
this, but they didn't mention whether it was going to be more. If it's not going to be more, I feel like I always try to mention, like, this isn't going to change the price of labor, but it will change the price of your material.
Yes.
Or vice versa,
Yeah.
or it won't change at all. This is just an option that you have.
Well, and like we have a certain storm door we love at shout out Anderson 4000 series, which goes in like 45 minutes, and we have one price for that, and then we have another price for literally every other storm door on the planet, which are big pains in the butt. So sometimes it's like your materials might not change that much, but your labor will change based on what you pick. I think communication is the key. However it's impacted, you should know.
Okay, so the price that the contractor gives you has a quick expiration date. 3, 2, 1.
I don't. Yellow?
I think it's neutral. Like,
It depends on.
might be annoying, but well, if the expiration date is, you have to
Like
make a
today.
decision while they're in your house. That's a huge red flag.
Yeah. But like ours is 2 weeks generally.
And maybe someone does a couple days, which I don't know why they would, but normally it's like 2 weeks to a month, or they want you to make a decision while they're still in your house.
Yeah.
To me, that's a huge red flag.
Definitely, if they're not giving you time to think about it or discuss it or give you time to research, it's definitely a red flag.
You should be aware as a consumer that there are very highly developed sales programs that many companies put their salespeople through, and no judgment here. You should just know as a consumer that they have gone through, here's how to overcome this objection, here's how to overcome this objection. And you can see when they bring that iPad out and they're walking you through step by step by step, that the end of that funnel takes you to signing something. So as long as you know that, they can do what they need to do to try to make a living. And then you just, like for us, my husband and I, we just say we don't make decisions on the spot. We just don't. That's our policy. And they're like, well, you lose out. We'll be like, well, we'll have to lose out.
And in your head, you're like, and I'm not working with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a turnoff for a lot of people.
Yeah.
When you say, like, well, you're going to lose it. Well, I didn't want to work with you anyway then.
Yeah. For us, it's like we know what it costs us to do the job. So that's what it costs us to do the job and run an above the board business. So there aren't any sign now and get a $1,500 discount, because that either that $1,500 would have been fake, or it's coming out of how I pay you, Arly.
Yeah. That's my whole paycheck.
Yeah. So unless someone's selling you like materials they can get a huge savings on, like we bought our windows from a company that manufactures their own windows, they can give you a discount because they're the ones making them. But labor, you pay your people the same no matter what, so discounting labor is always a little fishy to me.
Yeah. Okay. Asking for payment up front. 3, 2,
Whole payment?
I say yellow because the circumstances
But, like,
matter.
for a big job, if it's 100% upfront, I'd say red flag.
I'd say anything 100% up front.
Yeah. Because there's no recourse for you to... You have no power.
You have no power. Mm-hmm. No, you're at their... So I think it's not... It's very traditional to pay, or at least I think it's reasonable you shouldn't expect your contractor to float your materials cost.
Yeah.
So I think it's reasonable for them to ask for materials cost up front, but then those materials should get delivered to your house so that at least you have the materials if the contractor leaves.
Yeah.
And then some reasonable deposit. Because one thing that people might not realize when they're paying a deposit, it's like, you haven't done any work yet. Why am I paying a deposit? Well, part of it is because if you change your mind, they have scheduled their crew to come to your house.
Yeah.
And they can't just stick them somewhere else. You know, they might be out that entire week's revenue. So they want to know that you're committed. So a reasonable deposit, which I would think anywhere between 10 and 25% on labor.
Yeah, we, just for full transparency, we do 100% materials and 25% labor, which means you're floating the materials cost up front. And then... there's still 75% of the payment that, like, if we mess up, you're able to withhold until it's made right and stuff. Yeah. And so, yeah. And I mean, I think some industry standard usually is up to 50%, which I wouldn't be surprised. Like, especially on decks and things like that. I know, like, bigger deck companies do require that up front. Which, I mean, you just pick if that's fine for you. We do less just so our customers feel more comfortable.
We want them to know that they have some power left and that they can say no at the end of it if they don't like it. Like, I mean, we don't require our customers to force us to do the right thing, but then they know that they have that 75%.
Yeah, they have a little bit of, they feel like they have a little bit more control.
Because if you've
over their
paid
money
everything...
still.
Not only do you not have any recourse, but your builder doesn't have any incentive to come back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
We had a client who had to pay a deck 100% up front, and then she got screwed over. Like, the company did a terrible job on her deck.
And then promptly went out of business.
So there
wasn't even any recourse for her.
So it was like $40K done. Gone.
That's really scary.
Yeah.
Dad and I got new carpet when we were in our very first house shortly after we got married. And they came and dropped off the carpet, cut a couple pieces, and then went to lunch and never came back. So we came home and we're like, well, this is interesting. And then they managed to they got someone to come in and finish installing it. And then like 2 days later, they went out of business. But we never paid.
Ever?
No, because they just like...
You got free carpet?
We got free carpet. Well, we had to pay a deposit, but the rest of it was free. So once a business goes out of business, like, there's nothing you can do. We benefited from it, but that's not normally what happens.
Yeah. Okay, mentioning competitors in a negative way during an estimate.
No.
Super red flag.
Red.
I agree.
Blinking red.
It's hard when I'm in somebody's house and I see a contractor that has, like, severely... like, taken advantage or just done really poor work in somebody else's. Like, we were working in a salon where they had worked with multiple contractors before us, and it was
very terrible.
It was also kind of, like, devastating because it was this nice woman. We really liked her, and we did, like, some extra work, and we tried to do the best that we could. And we would have worked for free for her if we could have, just to right their wrongs, but, like, obviously we can't do that because we have to, like, pay our... rent or whatever.
We have to, like,
I know.
Make money as a business.
Every 2 weeks our people want to get paid.
I know, it's ridiculous. And you always want, like, rent or whatever. You have to pay to live in this house. Whatever. But, so, like, it was probably hard for you to see that stuff and relate to her and be like, not trash
not be like,
them.
Oh my God, who was this?
Plus, you just never know. Like, the person who did the her work might have been their late husband.
Yeah.
Or it might be, they might be talking smack about their family member that did it, but you're not going to be talking smack about their family member that did it.
Yeah.
And you don't know the situation the contractor was in. Like, we just try to empathize. If someone's like, I really hate this, we'll say, I'm really sorry this happened to you.
Well, and so, like, I don't want our clients to then be like, I had a bad experience. Sometimes I'll be like, yeah, that wasn't right. Here's how we can help.
Yeah, move it on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Any contractor that is lingering on how horrible the things are in your house is not going to be the right contractor.
Okay, but
for
I
you.
do have a little bit of a cheeky red flag for a client on our end as the contractor.
Let's hear it.
Is when they complain about every other contractor they've ever had.
It's true.
Yeah.
And it's like visibly not terrible work. Like in this situation with the salon, I was like, oh, absolutely, I understand.
That
Like in my
one's-
head, I was like,
Yeah.
ew,
Yeah.
yikes.
That was a given.
But we had a client who every contractor, they had a
Everyone
problem
they
with.
had
Every
ever
single
had done them dirty.
had done them dirty, and that's when my brain starts going.
I think we're going to be the
There's
next
a
ones on
common-
that list.
yeah, there's a common denominator here.
Yeah.
So, just
That
a
salon
thing.
ended up, by the way, looking really nice.
It
and
does.
it looks amazing. Okay,
Also, a contractor should let their work speak for how much better they are than other contractors.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
plus, if you're talking about a competitor and you're just like, oh, the guy from there, he's such a doofus or whatever, like, that's not really based on, like facts.
Yeah, you're just seeing something. You have no context for
Yeah.
what actually happened.
And as a homeowner, you can probably tell the difference between a contractor being friendly and just saying, like, you know, I have heard that, like, maybe you should do your research about this person because I haven't heard great things. That might be, I don't know, somewhat acceptable. But to, you know, have half of your estimate being taken up with, you really shouldn't go with this other guy because he's a little twat or something.
You should not be having a venting session with your contractor.
Yes.
Yeah. No.
Unless you're the one that vents.
My favorite thing is if a client is like, should I use this person? And I know we've had clients in the past.
Mhm.
I mean, it's kind of a fib, I guess. I'll say, I don't know very much about them, but I do know a lot about this company. And I'll
You'll refer somebody else.
refer
Yeah.
someone who I know is going to take good care of them. So we've had a few roof problems, a few roofing
Yeah.
companies who
And
we
we're
don't
not
love.
We're not gonna trash them.
We're not gonna
just
trash them,
We're just
but
not
I
gonna
will
do
say-
that. But we will steer people to companies that we know take good care
I
of
will
people.
shout out one Lansing roof company. Elif Brothers does fabulous work in
Was that
Lansing.
the people that did the roof across my
No, I think
from me?
that was a different company, but
Yeah.
they did
Okay.
They did
Laura
Sue and
T's-
Laura's.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
house. But the reason I found them to even suggest them to a client is I was driving past their work
Oh,
one
I
day,
remember this.
and I think I called you immediately after I saw this. They had tented off all the bushes, all the belongings, and we had just
I've never
finished
seen them.
working
I've never
We
with
just finished
before.
pulling bricks out of my destroyed
out of everything.
yard after the
Yeah,
roofing
so
job.
I was like, oh my gosh, we need to work with these people. And so Elif Brothers, you don't know us very well, but we love you, and you do great work.
Yeah, that's really
An,
nice.
an OSHA inspector could drive by one of their work sites.
Yeah, and they're actually wearing
and have
safety harnesses.
no
and-
notes for them.
Oh, that's
How
great.
people treat their employees is how they're going to treat you.
Yeah.
That's a
So
great.
if their employees, if you're like, ooh, or the employee is talking bad about their employer, like if they're like a Windows salesperson or they're just like, they seem a little off, I would follow your intuition. So.
Yeah, and sometimes it's not the worst experience you've ever had, but I like to have good experiences with my contractors.
You're like, well, that wasn't.
They become like my
terrible,
life
but-
partners. I'm like, you're my HVAC person.
Yeah.
You may not want to be, but now you are.
Yeah, we have an HVAC, an electrical, and a plumbing partner. Finally, we finished the trifecta. Tim, we've been waiting for you a long time,
Yeah,
man.
I know.
If you
It's
are
taken a
local
while.
and you need a plumber, Diamond Water Solutions
Yeah,
is the people to go
seriously.
to.
Oh, my
It's
goodness.
female owned. Brianna is the
Yeah.
owner, and Tim is
He's the master plumber.
He's the master plumber. And
so good.
I can't even tell you what it means to have someone who is like, will pick up your phone call if you have questions.
Yeah.
Will come and help you if they can. Or if you're like trying to do something plumbing adjacent and you're like struggling, who will help you, who you can send to your customer's house without being there and know exactly the experience they're going to
know.
have.
That's
Yeah, if
really
you're local to
nice.
Lansing, we'll have the
Can link our
websites for Diamond Water Solution and Elif Brothers,
Yeah.
and because they're really great examples of like treating people right, and they
Yeah.
treat their partners well, and they
Trustworthy.
they do,
and
they do great work.
Last one then. Work will become clear after we begin.
Red
Red
flag.
flag. Let me do it again. Wah, wah, wah.
I
Blinking
said,
red.
I said yellow flag because we
Oh,
sometimes
That's
say
true.
they're we don't know 100% what's in here.
I
but
think
we
that-
can guarantee this, and these are likely solutions.
But still,
and
we're
what they
clear
would
ahead
pay
of time
for.
because we
Yes.
tell you if we open up the wall and we do not find it full of living termites, this is what the project will involve.
Yes.
If
True
we open up
story.
your wall and the 6 million ants crawl out, this is what the project is going to look like.
No.
Ask us how we know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You should
Yeah.
always have a very good understanding of exactly what the initial steps are going to be and what will happen if something comes off the rails.
Yeah. I will say it is not a red flag for a contractor's scope of work to change if they open up a wall or a floor and life is not as you expected it to be. It's nice to have those conversations ahead of time because here's why. When we talk to a customer, they may have saved up, let's say $1,500. That's what they have to spend.
Yeah.
So if I tell them the job is $1,500 and I don't mention it might get more expensive, that's not really fair to the customer because if I tell them that ahead of time, they have the opportunity to say, I'm going to wait until I've saved the extra money just in case. But you're taking away their ability to decide if you don't warn them ahead of time. It's like our roofers who were like, here's your bill for $8,000 more. It's like, I didn't budget $52,000 for this job. I budgeted $44,000. I don't have $8,000 extra dollars. Like, that is not the time to be talking about money with your customers.
Yeah. And
Be transparent with your builder. If you have a budget in mind, like I just had a bathroom quote that was really expensive. Her inspo picks were like the creme de la creme of stuff. So I did the quote for the creme de la creme. And I know, listeners, I'm sorry, I'm about to say a scary number. It was $75,000 worth of a bathroom remodel. I know that sounds scary. I know.
That's for
But
people in a
then she
different
came back and
tax
she
bracket
said,
than me.
okay, here's around where I was thinking. And I'm able to adjust the estimate and be like, okay, well, we can forgo these gold fixtures and
we
the
can
fancy toilet you wanted. We can get you down to that area. So if you really like a contractor, they might be able to work
talk
with you.
them. Yep.
Yeah.
So, Emily, if people want to ask us questions about their own contractors or their experiences or find us for other reasons, how do they do that?
They can follow us at How to Handyma'am at most sites. We're particularly active on TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook. And on Facebook, we have a group called How to Handyma'am. If you search How to Handyma'am group, you will find us. And then all of this will be linked in our link tree, which is linked in our bio. And then if you want to personally email us, you can email us at hthm@myhandyma'am.com.
That's right. And if you want to see what we do for other people, you can find us pretty much everywhere at myhandyma'am.com.
And if you're diehard fans and you're like, my handyman, How to Handyman is the best thing in the whole freaking world, and I want to be your cheerleader, you can request to get into our
Advocate group.
How to Handyma'am advocate group, and you can advocate for
That's like
us.
the inside circle.
Yeah,
Who are
it's
like
the inner circle of the
out
inner
there.
circle.
And you want to know what a green flag for a listener is?
What
to
is it?
leave a 5-star review
Yes,
on especially Apple Podcasts, but all the platforms.
Yeah.
So.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us. We're so happy to be with you every week and to be able to share what it took us a long time to
Yeah,
learn
you
in the
guys
hardest
keep
possible
saying,
way.
We're your people, you're our people.
You're
You're our
Yeah.
people.
Mwah.
Mwah.